welcome. You were one of the supporters to one of the young Steerco members. How was it to have such a role during the Roverway?
Thank you for having me here. It was very interesting. I think it was good to have a challenge because for me, it was 7 years ago I did something on an international scouting base. So it was really good to be back again.
What was the biggest challenge you faced as a supporter?
It's not only about the task you were given. So my task was to help out with program attract, but also on a human base to help my Steerco member to become more of an adult, to make decisions and to be not afraid to make those decisions. That was really, one of the toughest parts I had to do.
You're head of communication, and of course there was a lot of communication about the Roverway before and during. And what is the image that you think is the best symbol of how you experience Roverway? Is there like a picture or an image that you would say describes the Roverway for you?
An image that describes the Roverway for me? That's quite hard because there are different images. The image that gave me the reason, or you work so hard for this whole project years long, and also during the camp you're actually always working in the background and don't see what the participants are doing. And then there was the opening, and I was behind the stage walking a bit around and then standing in front to watch the show a bit. And afterwards at the camp I went home and watched all the pictures to see actually what happened on Roverway. And there was one picture that I could also remember seeing there at the opening. It was when a guy was sitting on the shoulder of another one, and there were balls coming from behind the crowd and being pushed to the stage, and the sun was setting down, and in the background you could see the sky and all those enthusiastic faces. And you could see really that's the reason why I chose to do that. And that's the reason why it gives me so much joy enjoying it. So this energetic group is actually the reason that you're doing Roverway. So it has somewhat from the Roverway image, I think. It's all about coming together, getting to know each other, giving each other the input. We have the 4 statements that relate to each other, and yeah.
Of course, I'm sure that during the Roverway you heard like feedback on the identity statements. You saw activities going on. What is a good example for you that this the spirit was really in the Roverway?
We were very surprised that it was kind of everywhere. Like when we were walking around the campsite, we saw a lot of people doing something with identity statements, and we saw also a lot of people wearing the button we have made and the badges. We also had a badge for the participant that they could earn if they had done an activity on each activity field, and they were very enthusiastic about this, and they were very eager to get the badge. That was very nice to see.
So I guess the spirit was partly about personal development. Do you have an example of participants in your path that showed really a big development?
Well, I had a few participants that were not were afraid of speaking English, afraid of getting together with other countries, and what I really actually enjoyed the most of the whole camp is that they all came in as individuals and they went as a family, and that is what I really enjoyed about it.
Probably you've spoken to some of the participants. What is it they mention about the path? What do they remember about the path?
They really enjoyed the time they just could spend together. So, for example, we had the Slovenian contingent who learned us a sports game with throwing a ring and catching with a stick, and we played it all together. But they also really enjoyed the activities to learn something about Dutch culture and to actually see as well something of its Dutch culture.
Ilko, you're one of the project directors. What is the dream you started this whole Roverway project with?
Our dream was to have an event organized by the participants themselves, more or less. We don't have the participants organizing it because they're participating, but we have a lot of young people in the lead.
Okay, so this was a dream you had. Why as Dutch Scouts and Guides did you have this dream? Wasn't this the way you organized camps already?
No, it was not. I think we really wanted to promote the last or the upper age section, and the program for that section was not really developed. Some years ago we did so, and that's when we also came across Roverway as a concept, and we decided after our national program renewal to host a Roverway and to start bidding for that.
Give an advice to any future international event, whether in the Netherlands or abroad. What would the advice be to your colleague project director?
Don't be afraid to try new things, and once doing so, it would be good to make some firm decisions and really adhere to those principles. Make firm choices, no little ones. Make big choices, and keep to that choice until the very end. And have a small group of people who truly believe into the concept, like a group of convicts who more or less guard the concept in an informal way throughout the entire process.
Roverway was organized in a series of weekends instead of a lot of weekday meetings. In what other ways did you provide training during these weekends?
Well, it was okay. There were 10 different planning team weekends, but we have to add that different trainings happened too. For example, a rubber reps training, a head of contingents training, a path leaders training. So if you count all of the trainings, they were a lot. Try to help to everybody to understand what is Roverway going on and what is the target that we wanted to reach.
I was informed that during this weekend, you on the Saturday evening as training team had 2 hours of the time of the planning team. What were the topics and what was the method you used during the Saturday evening trainings?
Well, the most important thing is like to help to each team with the team building, to create team building, to help them with their reflection and to help them to give feedback for each team member, and obviously to have fun. So we combine the most important thing, the topics, but at the same time with the fun part, like develop different activities like games or quizzes to try to reach the goal.
The international staff of the Roverway. I'm of course very curious to hear about your experiences. Why did you decide to apply for a job at the Roverway in the Netherlands?
Yeah. Personally, I wanted to make a break in my studies and also to learn other things than the university way, more practical things, and also to discover another culture. It was really nice to visit another countries than mine.
Yeah, and for me, like 2 years ago, I've been to the Roverway in France, and that was the best experience in my life so far in scouting. It was really amazing. Like the size of the camp was the size of my town. So after that, when I finished my studies, I had the same feeling, taking a gap year. And yeah, what should be better than scouting with a gap year?
And for you, what was it that made you go to the Roverway as an international volunteer?
I needed to bridge waiting time, honestly, but also I wanted to improve my English.
And I think my story is quite similar to Louisa. I just finished my studies and I also just didn't feel like taking a real job. And yeah, scouting is just the best thing you can imagine for volunteering you're abroad. So that's perfect. You have a family anywhere in the world and that's awesome. So you know you're going to have an awesome year.
So it was quite a challenge to actually just to prepare only the paths. In what way did you prepare path leaders for this challenge? Can one of you tell me something about how you helped them to prepare?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, we organized a lot of pod leader days, and I think those were the most helpful for in the preparation time, because we were there and they could ask us all kind of personal questions. So not only things that we could also write down and send to them, but just being there and having the conversations that need to be discussed, like in front of the Roverway. If they have some doubts, you can be there for them and say, oh, it's going to be fine, and your program looks good, and being a team and being one Roverway organization. So I think the preparation days are the most valuable.
Yeah, those were the most like practical things, and the moments they could ask questions, and we also had like a handbook telling them what to do when there is someone who says, I don't want to have bread, for example. I think that's the most things. Yeah, those are the most things that we did to prepare Pathies in the best way that we could. And also with the training team together, they did an amazing job to prepare them on the different cultures, but also like how to be a team together and how to be prepare themselves for this challenge.